I was very in my head, very much thinking about what I would say and not saying anything at all, not just pressing record and seeing what comes out. But I at least have the awareness now that when that happens, I gotta just hit record and get going, start talking, whatever I want to, whatever I need to. And I think I've kind of found a very important lesson recently for my channel, which is this channel is more so for me than anyone else. And I think I've kind of said that and believed that to an extent for a good while now. Intellectually, I was there since the genesis, perhaps, of the channel, or early on, but there's a difference between believing something and feeling something. And I think while I believed, intellectually, I thought, yeah, it makes sense for my channel to be about me and whatever I want it to be. When it comes to feelings and emotionally, it's very often that we're not quite there. And I think it's very important to distinguish between what we feel and what we believe, because they're two very different things. And I think a lot of people, especially in relationships, run into conflict, not distinguishing between belief and feelings. Very, very different things. Feelings are always valid. Belief is kind of what you choose to do with your feelings. And then thoughts, that's a whole other thing. We are not our thoughts. We are not our thoughts. If you think you're your thoughts, or sometimes if you share your thoughts when you're in a bad place emotionally, it's gonna cause problems. You need to filter what you say, There are consequences to our actions, and our actions are our words, our behaviors. And thinking is our way of protecting ourselves before we do something dumb, something silly that'll ruin our lives. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. But yeah, I realize this channel's for me, and it's becoming easier and easier to pull out the camera and just hit record and just start talking, pull out the vlog stick. My heart was pounding when I pulled out the vlog stick and set up my camera. And particularly more today, because today is particularly different from other vlogs in that I guess I'm feeling a very particular emotion, which is grief. And I feel like grief is something that isn't really talked about too much. It's kind of taboo. It's uncomfortable for a lot of people. Understandably so. It's a terrible feeling. And I'm in grief because my dog back home with my family, she was 14, 15 years old. My dog Snuggles. Rest in peace. She lived a good life, but she passed away yesterday. And even just saying that and starting to talk about this, I can feel my negative headspace kicking in and my demons kicking in, thinking look at you using grief for clout, blah blah blah, chasing views, chasing reactions, blah blah blah. But I'm glad I'm at a point where I have the awareness to say, fuck that shit. We have a voice. Our voice matters. Our feelings matter. Our perspectives matter. And I feel like a lot of times with the people that don't believe that, or don't want you to believe that, are really just projecting it because that's what they believe for themselves. They don't voice their own opinions. They're afraid to voice their own opinions. And I don't even say that in malicious way. I mean, I've been one of those people before. Around quarantine and COVID era, I was a very angry, resentful person, very pessimistic. And, I thought there was no consequence to me, even just in my mind or in private, shitting on people or having very shitty thoughts about people. And we can't always control our thoughts, but we can definitely control our actions and our beliefs. A lot of times it's an unconscious process, but as you build awareness, it can become a conscious one. And a lot of times we think nothing will happen if we just think or ruminate really shitty thoughts about people or judge people, or maybe we actually go beyond that and we say something, we make a comment, maybe it's to our friends in private, this and that. But it all matters. What we say matters. And the words we use matter. I feel like I've actually, through, self-diagnosing, analyzing myself, I feel like it's one of my strengths now, realizing when people believe something that they're not aware of. Because our words matter. And a lot of times people don't realize the words they're using, and the words that they are using are implying something, they're indicating something. For example, if we're saying, I should go to the gym more often. Should is very different from want. If you want to go to the gym, and I guess it's a little complicated because sometimes you do want to go to the gym, but we're not simple creatures. We have very complicated emotions. And sometimes it is a battle. It is a conflict of emotions. Maybe you have some emotions where you do want to, some emotions where you're scared to. And a perfect example would be my vlogs. Even now, I've definitely improved a lot. And like a month ago, I would be scared shitless to make a video like this, where I just talk and I just use my voice and share it online and risk failure, risk embarrassment, risk hate, risk judgment, risk criticism. It's a vulnerable position to be in, and it's very tough to put ourselves in that position and to want to put ourselves in that position. But ultimately, the point at which we do something, even if we're conflicted about doing it, the point at which we do it is when the positives of doing it outweigh the negatives, or vice versa. Sometimes we have habits, beliefs, relationships maybe, that are very destructive, very damaging to ourselves. Maybe we have habits that are damaging to the people around us, drinking alcohol, smoking, hitting a nicotine pen, indulging too much on fatty foods, this and that. Every action we take has an influence. I guess it's essentially the idea of karma. Every action has a consequence. And even at a scientific level, Newton's, I forget if it's second or third law, every action has a equal and opposing reaction, right? Everything we do matters, and that includes our words. Our words are powerful. They can be used to build someone up or destroy someone, annihilate someone. And on the internet, you tend to see the latter. You tend to see the worst of the worst. The people who are very angry and resentful and who think that their words don't have consequences. And they're right to some degree, right? In an obvious way, there are no consequences, right? You go online, maybe even on this video, maybe I'll get some. That would be sweet. You go online, you see someone being vulnerable, sharing an opinion, something they're passionate about, and then you comment anonymously. You're like, you're such a dumbass, blah, 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 so cringe. nice try, no one cares, no one agrees with you, you're dumb, blah blah blah, I don't know, whatever, you know? There's a million ways to shit on someone. And, you know, we think that this doesn't do anything to us, that it's just like this random act we do online, and yeah, there's no immediate reaction, but really it's just delayed. It's a delayed reaction, because every time we say something or ruminate something about another or do something malicious to another, or we're petty or whatever, you know, it has a consequence. And sometimes it's not something obvious. It's not something where we see, especially not immediately, where we see some sort of reaction, but it has something internally. If we spend our days shitting on other people, judging other people, being resentful of other people, I mean, what's gonna end up happening is you're gonna start to resent yourself. And I say that from experience. I mean, over COVID, I wasn't like outwardly, I guess my actions weren't super negative towards people, although in some ways they were, because I was in a very toxic friend group and we were definitely very toxic to each other, and I tried to be more restrained. But over time, you know, they say you are the combination of like the 5 people you spend the most time with, and I think it's absolutely true. The people around you have influence. You have influence. And the things you do, the things you say, it all matters. And, you know, I think it's just a matter of time for most people before they realize that it matters. Maybe they never realize. Maybe it'll come and catch up to them and bite them in the ass, but they won't have the awareness to realize it. And so, you know, I think for me, over time, I mean, over years of being very negative and pessimistic, and I mean, it really just aligned with a lot of other negative habits, indulging on fast food, all this stuff, not exercising, not working out anymore. It all just compounds, and at some point you hit rock bottom, and you realize how deep you are, and then it's time to make a choice. With this awareness, do you just accept that you're this deep and you can't get out, or do you accept that you're this deep but you can get out, just like you got in? And it's definitely possible. I mean, it's going to take a long time, definitely, but it's definitely possible. And so, I guess back to my initial point with this vlog, you know, I guess I'm realizing, like, just from my last vlog, I had the realization that I feel most cognitively resonant, if you will. So cognitive dissonance is when our actions are not aligning with our beliefs and our values. So, for example, real example, like, I believe that my voice matters. I believe that everyone's perspective matters. Even if I don't agree with it, you know, we all have different perspectives for a reason. And for me to believe that my voice matters, but for me to make vlogs and make videos and edit videos in a way where I'm filtering myself or muting myself, or minimizing what I say, or taking out mistakes, taking out blunders, taking out whole chunks of just me talking, you know? For a good amount of time, that's what I was doing. And I think slowly I was doing it a little less and less, and it was in my last video that I realized I really enjoyed just hitting record and talking about whatever the hell I wanted to talk about. And, you know, intellectually I knew that it probably wouldn't be popular, it probably wouldn't get many views. I mean, you never know, maybe in the future. but so far it's been the case for the most part. But that's okay, because I've reached a point where I found a style that I like, a style that aligns with what I believe, that allows me to voice the things I see and the perspectives I have, and to align with the belief that that matters and that's important. And, you know, sometimes we think because no one will listen, it's not important. But communication is a two-way street. We can say whatever we want. Whether people listen or not, I mean, yeah, that's out of our control. But there's a certain beauty to that. Because even now, I realize that I don't need to make my videos for anyone else to see, for others to agree. You know, awareness is a gradual process. I guarantee that even some people that will watch this, maybe for 10 seconds, 100 seconds, whatever, there's gonna be some people who just seeing someone post their raw, vulnerable, honest thoughts, just that act alone is enough to make them hate you, right? My very first video where I did something like this, I got my first hate comment. Someone said, "No one cares." And, you know, I actually really appreciated that comment. And I, in a weird way, loved that comment. Because it allows me to face my fears. It gives me an opportunity to face my fears. And for a very long time, my fear was, if I voiced my honest thoughts and I was vulnerable, people would hate me. People would shit on me. People would criticize me. People would not like me. And that sucks. It surely does. And it's scary. But I wouldn't have it any other way. For one, it's not going to happen as our mind thinks it will. We always tend to think things to be way more dramatic and grandiose when we're anxious and afraid, you know? Our perception is our reality. The way we perceive things will be how the world reflects back to us. And, you know, behind every hater is a human being. Just a normal ass person who, and you never really know the context behind their comment. Maybe it's the first time they've ever done it. Maybe it's some kid, 12 years old, he's like hanging out with his friends. They come across a video and they're like, "Oh my gosh, like, dude, leave a comment, like, leave a hate comment, tell them no one cares, you know? Like, everyone's at a different point in their lives, a different journey. And, you know, a kid, their consciousness is still there, you know? Or it's still, the opportunity to build it is there. Same with people, but a lot of times I think people are too far gone that they just suppress it into oblivion and they just lose their consciousness, I guess. Just go autopilot. Don't really question their behaviors and their life and the things they do, even if it's destructive. But you never know where someone's at. And, you know, I think everyone can change. We all have the power to change. But you can't change without awareness. Awareness is at the root of everything. First you become aware of something, then you can accept it, you can process it, and then you decide. You're aware there's this problem, and you decide whether you want to change or not. We all have these decisions, and sometimes we suppress it, or we're passive at the wheel when we think that there's no decision to be made because we do our best to run away from the decision. We try to do some we try to do some mental gymnastics to bob and weave out of needing to make a decision, or even the awareness, you know? It's a gradual process, but I think as more and more people are exposed to things, you know, it's an opportunity. Even if they hate it, it's an opportunity for them to think, for them to gain awareness. Because like for me, at some point I realized like, well, what the heck, like why am I so angry and like hateful and resentful of like this random thing? Like it could have been like a political issue or a certain group of people or someone's opinion on Twitter. I mean, whatever the hell, you know? And that was an opportunity for me to look inwards and be like, why am I so angry? Why am I so hateful? When did I become like this? I wasn't always this way. And over the years of self-inquiry, I finally realized I had drifted away from the person I once loved to be and admired to be and was proud to be. And I became someone who's bitter, resentful, pessimistic. And I think with every hater, I mean, it's easy to hate them back, right? It's easy to write a comment and like try and dunk on them, try and be really like quirky and give a quick quip back at them, maybe just shit on them, try and hit their weak spot, tell them, oh, your mom hates you, like blah blah blah, whatever, you know? But it doesn't really solve anything. Even if you make them feel bad, it doesn't actually solve anything. For one, it makes you a more toxic person, and that's gonna come back to bite your ass, because when you're in a position of being angry, how are you gonna respond to yourself, right? You're gonna give yourself hatred, give yourself just negative energy. But the thing is, there's an abundance of people in this world who just react to hate with hatred. Oh, this person's racist, I hate them. Fuck those people, right? And, you know, sometimes, you know, everyone's just human, everyone's just doing their best. And sometimes we're not in a place to be more compassionate or to try to understand people, you know? Especially when it's something that cuts deep, something that's sensitive to us, where we've had an experience that really hurt us, and maybe we never really processed that pain. We've suppressed it, we identified with it, we attached, and we didn't realize it. And funnily enough, I'm realizing this is coming full circle, back to what I was kind of initially wanting to talk about, which is the grief and the death of my dog. Because, you know, there are times in our life where really shitty things happen. Sometimes, I mean, you can't even blame people. Sometimes there's some horrid shit that happens. Like, if a drunk dude, like, kills, like, your parent or something in a car crash, like, you know, you can't blame someone for, like, hating, like, alcoholics or just having all this resentment for people who drink and drive or whatever, you know? There's definitely a purpose to that and to those emotions and to reacting so strongly. But if we want to change something, we have to actually understand why it happened. And, you know, in the past weeks and months, I've started to realize the value of discomfort, of tolerating discomfort, tolerating pain, tolerating suffering. It doesn't mean going out of my way to suffer, to feel pain. There's plenty of that enough in life already as it is, I think. And I feel very grateful in a way, because while it's very sad, and, you know, I've cried a lot, I really have. If we just allow ourselves to feel the pain and to grieve and to process it, it's gonna suck. It's gonna hurt to our core. And, you know, the closer the bond to the person or the animal or pet or relationship or whatever that you lost, the closer the bond, the more it hurts. And it can feel extremely unbearable. And one of my favorite quotes lately has been, or not, I guess like questions to ask myself is, will future me thank me? And when we're in this position of pain and suffering, we think that the easy choice is the right choice. We might want to distract ourselves. And, distraction can be a good tool as well, where you kind of do something where you distract yourself and kind of be on autopilot and let those thoughts and emotions that are a little more in the subconscious emerge. And it could be like listening to music. Someone might think that's distracting yourself, but like for me, that's actually a way that I can process emotions effectively, because I'm really bad at processing emotions, and I'm very analytical. You might be able to tell. Very analytical, very thought heavy, and so having that anchor of sad music really helps me to process. And we're all different. We all have different experiences. We're all different people. We all have different ways. But it's important to find a way. And if you're not in a place to find a way, it's important to recognize that. There's a difference between feeling like you know the way and knowing the way. Let me rephrase that. You can intellectually know that something is good for you and still not feel like something is good for you. And in fact, I feel like in my journey lately, the most important thing I've learned is that awareness is everything. If you can become aware of where you're at, you can accept yourself where you're at. And you can accept that, yeah, I'm not where I want to go. Like maybe I've been digging this hole for months, weeks, years, my whole life. But you can accept that that's where you're at. That's where your journey's led you. You can't change the past. All you have is the present. And you don't know the future either. All you have is the present. And you can accept that you're not where you want to be, but you are where you are. And you can start moving that needle that has calibrated way to the negative, to the downside. You can start moving it slowly to the other side. And all that momentum that you built one way can flip back to serve you, to serve your life for the better. And I feel like the death of my dog has actually come at a really good time, where I've realized these very important lessons, and I realized everything that ever happens to us that we think is bad, that we think is negative, it sucks, it does. But everything is an opportunity. And there's so much growth, potential. That sounds weird. That sounds like I'm talking about finance. There's so much ability to grow when something bad happens. And you hear about it a lot, like a family that's very like, I don't know, they have like a schism. They're very, I guess, very poor relations between each other. Like maybe they lose someone in the family and it's kind of like a wake-up call, right? They realize like, oh my gosh, like I haven't been appreciating the people I have in my life. I haven't been appreciating my family, and maybe, it's an opportunity to connect with the family you have and to grieve together and to realize the importance again and the value in having that support, having that community, having people to support you, people you can trust. And I've gotten a bit distracted. These frogs are quite loud. I was on such a great roll too. I don't think I had gotten distracted too strongly once in the past 30 minutes now almost. I definitely had a lot of tangents that I won't tell, but I didn't quite get distracted. But yeah, when something bad happens, it's an opportunity. I mean, it's up to us. We can use it to just continue the life we have and to maybe just drill ourselves deeper into the ground, into the abyss. Or we can use it as an opportunity to grow, to learn, to build some awareness, to look within, analyze their life, see where things have gone wrong, see what you could have done better, see what you can do better now in the present, because that's all you have. And it's been a sad process. I've been grieving, but I also still feel very content and very happy and very grateful and proud that I've reached the point in my life where that's the case, and that I feel like I finally reached the point where I've moved that needle. I've moved that needle, and my momentum is now serving me in a positive way. My momentum is positive. It's it's self-reinforcing. It's perpetuating to make my life better and better with time. Time is on my side. I am on my own side. I've attained that cognitive resonance, and every day I take those actions, those hard actions that will make my life easier later. And I feel really proud and glad that I don't try to hide and shy away from the sadness and the grief, because while it's hard and it's uncomfortable, it's necessary. I need to process it. It's a part of life, and future me will thank me. I'll feel better for it. I won't attach to it, and I'll learn lessons. I'll continue to show appreciation and love for the people I have now in my life, and to communicate that, because you never know when it's our time, and all we have is now. Tomorrow is not guaranteed, but that doesn't mean that you can't start now. You can't start acting in a way today that's going to serve you tomorrow, and in a way that serves in a way blah 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 blah. I've faltered. I have fallen. Yeah, I guess that. I guess just that. And all of that comes down to awareness. And it doesn't matter what I say, really, if you're not willing to listen and to apply it. And it doesn't matter what I say is important if you don't think so too, because then you'll just criticize it or dismiss it, right? That's what we do as humans. And so I guess I'll leave not with a statement, but a question. And wow, I've thrown myself off guard with that one. What question should I ask? How about, is this the life you want to live? That sounds like a good question. Is this the life you want to live? Because I think that's a good question. That will force you to think about it, right? And analyze it. And if you realize, oh my God, no, but you have no idea why not, that's all you need. That's the only spark you need. Because now you can go out there, ask yourself questions, because this is something that pertains to you and matters to you. We all want to live a life worth living, and that's different for all of us. So I guess I'll leave off with that. Ask yourself, is this the life you want to lead? And for me, I think yes, it is. I'm glad that I have voiced what I wanted to voice. It's going to be useful for me, that's for sure, to process. And even I'm learning lessons. None of this is scripted. I'm just going off the dome, going off my head. So first and foremost, it serves me, and as I serve myself and put it out there in the world, I believe and trust that it'll serve others too. all we can control is our input into the world, never the outcomes. So with that, I feel proud of my input into the world tonight. And do you feel proud of yours? There we go. How about that? And yeah, if anyone watched, thanks for watching. Best of luck on your journey, and take care.